I bring you greetings in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. For our devotion today, I want us to reflect on a piece of scripture found in the book of 1 Kings, chapter 19. Before we read what I want, there's just one key text that I'm taking this message from that I would like to read, and that's 1 Kings, chapter 19, verse 4, just a part of it. It says, "And he prayed that he might die, and said, 'It is enough.'" I don't know. This is Elijah, a prophet of God, but I don't know if you can identify with this man. That times life can be so difficult, life can be so brutal, life can be so miserable, life can be so unpredictable. Later on, we are living these days in the days of COVID-19, where our loved ones are taken left, right, and center. People who looked so healthy, well, all good, not unknown to us whether they've got underlying issues or not with their health. It may be that way or not, it matters not. The point being, when life is overwhelming, we don't know where to run to. We don't know how to hide from the venom of life. I call it that way. I choose to call it that way because you just don't know what to do. Can you imagine? Here is a prophet of God, Elijah, of all the prophets. This is one of those that was a major prophet, well known for what he did. You would know from the book of 1 Kings chapter 18, where we find the main story. We are not going to read it, but we find the story of Prophet Elijah, where he has 400 prophets of Baal executed after the experience of Mount Carmel victory, where he prayed to God. It is the same Elijah who prayed to God that there be no rain for 3.5 years, and there was no rain. God listened to the prayer of one man, one of his servants, and the whole land at his prayer, things became just as God listened to that one man. And you know, the rest is history. He had 400 Baal's prophets killed after they failed in the Mount Carmel experience. You would remember what happened there. That's not the real idea behind our devotion today. But I'm just reflecting and looking back, and I'm saying to myself, how is it that such a man who just became the most feared man or prophet at his time, who would dare challenge that woman Jezebel, the wife to King Ahab? Nobody would try that. But here was Elijah. He dared him because he came in the name of the Lord our God, the name of the Lord of hosts. Do you remember the story of the young David who came to fight Goliath and says, "Who is this uncircumcised man?" And he says, "I come in the name of the Lord our God." And you know that story. It's a beautiful story. And we see how the young David, who was just a little boy, a shepherd boy, overcame the most feared men of his time. Here we have got a similar situation of Prophet Elijah. He has just had a marvelous experience, a mountain experience with God, and just moments or a day after that, the opposite comes to him. After a high in the Lord, an experience with God, the very next morning, the very next day, his life is being sought. After everything had happened, Elijah prays, and the record tells us that eventually, if you're taking it from the last part of chapter 18, maybe let me just read it there, from verse 43. "And he said to his servant, 'Go up now, look, toward the sea. So he went up and looked and said, there is nothing. And 7 times he said, go. This was the time when Elijah was praying for the rains. All right? And he kept sending his servant for 7 times to go and look out there. Verse 44. Then it came to pass the 7th time that he said, there is a cloud as small as a man's hand rising out of the sea. So he said, go up, say to Ahab, the king now, prepare your chariot and go down before the rain stops you. Look at that amount of faith. When he just heard there was a little cloud rising from the sea, immediately he sent an instruction to his servant to say, go tell King Ahab that he must start going away before the rains stop him. Verse 45. Now it happened in the meantime that the sky became black with clouds and wind, and there was a heavy rain. So Ahab rode away and went to Jezreel. Then the hand of the Lord came upon Elijah. Right? Ahab has listened to Prophet Elijah, and he goes away before the rain finds him. Now the Lord is dealing with Elijah. Verse 45. Then the hand of the Lord came upon Elijah, and he gathered up his loins and ran ahead of Ahab to the entrance of Jezreel. This man, this is supernatural. It's not just normal. He had strength to outrun the king, who is using horses or whatever mode of transport he was using as a king. But he managed to outrun him and was at the entrance of Jezreel before the rains caught up with him. Now we catch the story I want in chapter 19, verse 1. And Ahab told Jezebel all that Elijah had done, also how he had executed all the prophets with a sword. Then Jezebel sent a messenger to Elijah, saying, so let the gods do to me and more also, if I do not make your life as the life of one of them by tomorrow about this time. Right? And when he saw that, he arose and ran for his life. So actually it was not even a day. The day was not even over. He arose when he heard this messenger and the message from Jezebel. And he ran for his life and went to Bathsheba, which belongs to Judah, and left his servant there. So now it's more about his own life, fighting for survival, running for survival. This is the man of God who prayed and things happened. But this time, we don't hear of any prayer, but immediately he runs for his life. Verse 4. But he himself went a day's journey. This is Elijah. After leaving his servant in Bathsheba, he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness and came and sat down under a broom tree. And he prayed that he might die, and said, this is where this prayer came in. It is enough. Now, Lord, take my life, for I am no better than my fathers. This was a distraught man. This was a man who was stressed out, a man who was in depression. He wanted nothing. He wanted to hear nothing. Feared for his life, feared this woman like nobody else, and just wanted to die, end his life. He even prays, God, take my life. I want nothing. Right? And then let's catch the story again on verse 5. Then as he lay and slept under a broom tree, suddenly an angel touched him and said to him, arise and eat. Remember, this man has gone a further day's journey into a desert, desolate place. There is nothing, there is no food whatsoever. But verse 5, there a messenger, an angel of the Lord, meets Elijah as he sleeps and touches him, arise and eat. Eat what? Right? Verse 6, then he looked, and there by his head was a cake baked on coals and a jar of water. So he ate and drank and lay down again. This man was tired, believe me. Remember, he ran and outran King Ahab into the courts of Jezreel. Soon after he gets a message from Jezebel, he runs to leave his servant in Bathsheba in Judah. And then from there, he goes a further day's journey. I don't think, for those who are marathon runners, I don't even think that was even a marathon. It's more than a marathon. Going a day's journey after the running in and out that he did. I just don't have the map to understand what was the distance. But when you talk of a day's journey, that's a long distance. It's not even a marathon. It's more than that. And a miracle happens. First of all, it's an angel who wakes him up, and there is food from nowhere. God provides. Jehovah Jireh, the one who provided for Abraham when he was in the wilderness with his son. God provided. Look up, and there was an animal to sacrifice, and God provided in the mountain where God provided. In this case, Elijah is from a mountain where God provided, and he showed his presence, he showed his power, he manifested his power. Now he finds not in a mountain, he has got a desert experience where the angel of the Lord touches him, where there is nothing. Believe me, if this man did not get God's intervention, I thank God that he prayed a prayer. Although his prayer was that of death, God does otherwise. Have you come across a situation in your life where you just don't want anything? You just want to die. You just want to let go and things to come to an end because you feel you are a failure. You feel you've messed up big time. You wish the earth would open up and just swallow you. Whatever it would take. This is depression. This is stress. Friends, depression, stress, these are realities that are there in life. They take a lot of our brothers and sisters. And in our day and age where we've got this coronavirus, many people are dying in fear, in thought. Just at the mention of that, they've tested positive. They cannot handle that. Their health begins to deteriorate at the moment they hear they've contracted someone who has got the virus, or they've actually contracted this virus themselves. We need not to go that far, friends, because we have got God, Jehovah Jireh, the one who provides. He has promised not to leave us, not to forsake us. He has invited us in Matthew, "Come unto me, all ye that labor, and I will give you rest." You will find rest for your souls. Let us not be like Cain, who became a wanderer in the lands wherever he went because he was running away from God, who is the only one who can give us rest. Did you know that if you cannot find rest in God, there is no other place you can find rest from? Because he is our rest. He is our refuge. He is our source of strength, as our source of solace. There is no other place where we can run to. Even King David acknowledges that, and he says, "I will look up onto the hills. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord." I give you Jesus. I give you the source of refuge. I give you the source of strength. When you are down and out, when you feel you don't want anybody, you don't want anything, you just want to die like Elijah, be reminded that when Elijah was in a perfect place, perfect position where he could die naturally, because there's no water, number one, and there's no food. It's in a desert. God comes and from nowhere gives something. That is his nature. When we find we have reached a dead end, this is the end of the road, God then shows up, Michael, and fights our battles and provides for our needs. I give you him, and I recommend you to him, that he, just like in Elijah's case, he will provide, he will make sure your water is certain and your food is certain. He provided for Elijah water and food. Baked bread was there. The same Elijah who was provided for by God when he ran away into a hiding. It's not the first time that he experiences this God. God provided for him through a vulture. He got food from God in the past. That now, once again, God is reminding, I am still the same God. I am taking care of you. I promise that I will never leave you nor forsake you. Let's end it this way. Verse 7. And the angel of the Lord came back the second time and touched him and said, arise and eat. Remember, the first time the angel touched him, he got food, he got water, he ate, and he went back to sleep because he was tired. Right? The angel comes back again and touches him again and say to him, arise and eat, because the journey is too great for you. He still has a journey. God is not done with him. There is still a mission for him. Friends, you may feel that's the end of you. You may have done the most terrible sin or done the worst thing ever in the world, and you want just this world, this earth to open up and swallow you, and you are no more. Just that was the feeling of Elijah. I want you to know that God, if God says no, nobody can say yes. If he says yes, nobody can say no. If God has not said it's time up, just know it, that it's not going to happen. Just learn to trust him at his word. He has a purpose. If he still has a mission that you have to accomplish in this world, he will make sure and settle your water and your food. So in verse 7 there he says, arise and eat, because the journey is too great for you. What happens then? Verse 8. So he arose and ate and drank, and he went in the strength of that food. That food. It's not me, it's the Bible. He went in the strength of that food. How long? For 40 days and 40 nights, as far as Horeb, the mountain of God. This is my God. For 40 days, 40 nights, with one meal, Elijah runs for 40 days and 40 nights. You tell me of these ultra marathons or whatever you call it, you can't tell me it's anything close to 40 days and 40 nights. You are on the road with the strength and the power that is given by the food that is from God. The same God who provided in the desert, who provided for the children of Israel manna. He gives a special meal to Elijah. And Elijah eats one meal, and for 40 days and 40 nights, he is on a journey. He is running until he reaches the mountain of God. Tell me, how is that possible? I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Friends, you don't need to die because of stress. You don't need to die because of depression. If there is anyone who has experienced this for us and on our behalf, it is Christ himself, because he died of a broken heart. You and I don't need to die that way, for he has died in our place, that we may take his life, which is full and free, because it is a life that belongs to him. He purchased it, our lives, by his own blood, with his own precious blood. So friends, if you are going through some turbulent times, some stressful times, some time that is depressing in your life, have a look and take time to read the story of Elijah and find there some threads of hope. Hold on to that, hang in there. God will take care of you and make sure that you accomplish that purpose that he has brought you into this world for. God bless you.